Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. And here I have a great article for you guys from Fierce Wireless. I will leave a link to it in the description so you guys could check it out. So Verizon's earnings is done. They had their earnings call this morning. We already saw the numbers. And now it's time to break that down, give you guys my thoughts in a more longer video and kind of discuss what I heard on the earnings call, some additional updates, and then just, get some feedback from you guys in the comments as well, and kind of break it down as to what I expect moving forward from this company in its current state with its current newer leadership, right? They made some changes on the leadership side. So now they're proceeding, right? We got new unlimited plans. We had some restructuring done on the executive team. So now they're moving forward, right? Hans Vestberg seems to be safe as the CEO, and that's how they're going to move at least through the remainder of this year, it seems. So Verizon adds 8,000 postpaid phones in the second quarter. Wall Street seems satisfied. So Verizon has put themselves in a position to not compete against a more competitive T-Mobile and AT&T. Some are even arguing, and I spoke with a few people before making this video and shortly after the earnings. Some are even believing now that Verizon is trying to step up to an even higher premium tier than they were already at. Some have called it super premium. Looking at the fact that they're increasing prices again and could potentially do that again in the future, right? The $10 price increase on fixed wireless access now makes that a more premium tier. And in some cases, it might even, if you're not bundling it with wireless, it's bringing that pricing even closer to what cable and fiber have in terms of their promotional offerings. So there's not much of a difference anymore, especially on Verizon's 5G plus home internet plan. That's like closer to $80 before the $10 increase. That's going to go to $90. I mean, you're right at fiber pricing. And at that point, I would recommend you to get fiber. It's the better product, better latency, direct line to the house. I'd go with that all day long. So that's the position that I feel Verizon is putting themselves in. They're putting themselves in a more premium category than they were already in. They're pretty much telling you, look, if that customer on that plan is not going to pay what we're willing to accept, then we're going to force them into paying more by raising their rates. And if they don't like it, then they can leave, right? They don't have it. I'm told the customer care has already been told there's no retention offers that those customers will get. They can either move into a newer unlimited plan, which is priced higher, where they will pay more, or they can leave. So again, starting towards the end of August, there's another opportunity for those customers to churn. It's Verizon creating that issue on their own. It's self-inflicted. So that's just something that I wanted to speak of, right? A higher premium tier that they're putting themselves in. Again, now they're selling fixed wireless access at a higher price point, telling you like, hey, this is a better product. You're going to pay a higher premium for it. That's what they're signaling to the market. So they had good growth on that fixed wireless access side. They added about 384,000. So that's good, right? That's good, healthy growth for them. And especially as they continue building out that C-band, I could see that growing or accelerating on a quarterly basis. They're barely getting to like really big scale on that C-band for fixed wireless access. So some interesting things to note during the earnings call. They said that in non-C-band markets, or where C-band is not really at scale yet, that's where they have their highest churn profile, where customers are leaving and going to other carriers. So that means the network is bogged down in those areas and they face congestion. And rightfully so. Verizon still has the largest postpaid base, so that should be the case. I know they've done a lot over the years to mitigate those issues. They put a lot of density in there. They deployed small cells. They did cell splits, but still, per the customer base, the spectrum that they had on LTE per customer, they had the lowest amount of spectrum versus the amount of customers they had. So they had very little to work with on spectrum. And now that that C-band is still not there yet in some of those areas and data usage has continued to grow, it's just a tough environment. So that's something that they pointed out. But they also said in the areas where they've deployed the C-band at a more wider scale, they see churn coming down and they see growth in those areas. They see a lot of growth there. So that's interesting, right? That's interesting to know. So what happens now when they get that C-band deployed in those areas that are non-C-band areas where a lot of customers are leaving, right? That's interesting. That's interesting to note, and that's something to look after, right? And they will get there. Eventually they will. They know it's a problem. They can see it. On one side where there's no C-band, they're losing. Where there is C-band, they're growing. So what do you think they're going to do? They're going to deploy C-band in the non-C-band areas very quickly. So that's an interesting part to note, right? So all in all, there's still issues at Verizon. They had great free cash flow for the quarter. They said they're at a total of $8 billion free cash flow now. They also guided for the rest of the year, which they usually don't, but they gave somewhat of a guidance for the free cash flow. They're expected to be at 17 plus billion by the end of the year. So the financials are strong as ever, even though they had very little growth on consumer. And we'll get into that in this article. Their finances, the cash generation is still there, and Wall Street seems to be okay with that. Now, the two issues that I saw, net income was down and revenue was down, likely to increase competition, more promotional pressure, or like I said, I signaled this in previous videos, it could just be because the customer base is leaving and now the finances are starting to hurt. Like I said, if customers leave, and you will see that they left, although they did say 8,000 ads in this title, they lost 136,000 postpaid customers. It was offset by business gains. That's how they reported. I know those are technically two separate units, and some of you have put that in the comments this morning saying that you don't see it that way. You see it as business and consumer lost 136,000 customers. So we'll get into that. As a matter of fact, we'll get into that right now. Show you the piece of the article. So here it is, subscribers. Verizon has been struggling with postpaid phone net additions over the last few quarters. Today, it reported postpaid phone net additions of 8,000, comprised of 144,000 net adds from its business group and 136,000 net losses from its consumer group. Again, the 8,000 positive came from business. Keep that in mind. They lost 136,000 monthly paying phone customers. That's how much they lost. And in previous quarters, that was over 200,000. So keep that in mind. I had to throw that in there. They lost 136,000. So again, fixed wireless access, they gained 384,000. That's good to see. That $10 price increase, if they can maintain that type of growth, is going to help on the financial side as well. And then they also discussed the My Plan. They're saying that it's still new. They're working it into the base. They're trying to get people excited about it. They wanted to create step-ups. They want people to see the value in the perks, whatever, cheaper cost. They say it's working. Of course, they're going to say that. They're the company. They're going to be as positive as they can. I myself still don't see that as working. If you lost 136,000 customers that left your company in the quarter, and that quarter is 3 months, I see that as a problem. Some of you may say, well, there's momentum here. There's a little bit of churn profile here. They're lowering it there. I get that. I understand. Verizon is going to try to create that light at the end of the tunnel. They're going to speak as positive as they possibly can to create that light at the end of the tunnel for investors, shareholders, and board members. Right? They're going to be like, hey, this is the light at the end of the tunnel. We can do this. Our CapEx is coming down. Finances should increase. We're raising price again. We're moving to another premium tier. Again, all of that matters. And if all of that is taken into consideration, we should see even better finances in Q3 and Q4. Now, growth, I will be very honest. I think Verizon needs to do 200,000 to 300,000, somewhere in that, in terms of growth on the consumer group side. But I don't see that happening. They are not positioned to compete against T-Mobile and AT&T. They don't want to compete. They don't want to chase that type of revenue. They want, if that 8,000 ads, led to, whatever that leads to, better finances, whatever, then they're fine, right? At just growing at the 8,000. If the finances look right and they only grew 10,000 or they even lost, as long as the finances look right, Hans is pleased. Revenue down, net income down, that doesn't look good because he said judge us on revenue, and that's down. Will that change? Potentially, right? With the price increases, $10 more on fixed wireless access, especially at that growth of almost 400,000 ads for fixed wireless access, I could see the finances reflecting that. But again, how will that offset, right? Are they going to grow and scale enough of those customers onto these higher plans, keep them for one, because if the prices go up, are they really going to stay to really bolster those financials? What if the losses continue to accelerate because of the price increases? What if the price increase to fixed wireless access slows that growth? What if next quarter they only report 300,000? And of course, that's a bunch of what ifs and speculative, but still, it could potentially happen that Verizon, self-inflicted wounds backfires. So what if the $10 increase now has people second guessing when they see the pricing now? It's a possibility. So I just wanted to put all that out there. Some of my thoughts, something for you guys to think about, something for you to leave in the comment section. Just your thoughts and opinions. Again, I think the positive takeaway here is Verizon has great free cash flow throughout the remainder of this year. The network is going as great as it possibly can. It's helping them lower the churn. It's helping them grow in some respect on the business side to offset some of the consumer losses. They acknowledged that during the earnings call. They said they had two big wins on business, one of them being the VA, the other one they didn't say. They had two business wins that they took from another competitor, which is what they disclosed. They didn't say which competitor, but they took two of them. And that likely helped them grow 8,000 positive, which is nothing. That's nothing. Remember, a quarter is 3 whole months, right? T-Mobile at 736,000, if that's what they report, they do 8,000 postpaid ads in 1 weekend during that quarter. Keep that in mind, right? Just putting that in perspective. So again, there's a lot of work to do for Verizon. They have a lot of stuff to change. I hear some big changes coming in August on the retail side, so I'll fill you guys in when I get more info on that. The quarter's over. Tomorrow we get AT&T, and then the day after that we get T-Mobile. Going to be very interesting to see what they report. But again, to close out the video, Verizon is not positioned to compete against AT&T and T-Mobile, right? T-Mobile is flexible at any minute to drop an Un-carrier announcement and decrease pricing here, offer free lines there. That's what they do. So Verizon doesn't want to play there because if they drop pricing or whatever, become more competitive, then T-Mobile will just go even lower because they have the balance sheet to defend their position. AT&T is kind of in the middle. They can compete with fiber. They could drop pricing there to grow wireless. That's kind of a catch-22 there. They don't seem to want to be interested in wireless too much anymore on the AT&T side, so they're kind of going to let that sit. They're gonna still invest, but you can see like the marketing dollars have been down. I haven't seen any commercials of them, honestly. I've seen mostly T-Mobile, and I've seen mostly Verizon. I have not seen AT&T at all on commercials, billboards, or anything like that. So it could just be me. But I haven't seen Lily, I haven't seen anything at all from them. So, again, very quiet, as they've always been. And tomorrow they will more than likely report 100,000 or more or less ads versus Q1. We'll see how the market reacts to that. But that's something that they've already disclosed could happen. So we'll see what happens. Very interesting to see what takes place tomorrow morning. And then we'll see what T-Mobile posts on the 27th. So make sure you guys stay tuned for more. Like, share, subscribe, and I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.